I like these calm little moments before the storm.
In 1994 was the year Luc Besson introduced his thriller Leon the Professional to the world. Jean Reno stars as the title character, the milk-drinking Italian hitman. Joining him is an ensemble of amazing talent: Natalie Portman, Danny Aiello and Mr. Gary Oldman. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty much my generation's John Wick. It provides a gritty story, slick violence, and Eric Serra's soundtrack, which is truly magnificent. Leon is about a hitman that reluctantly adopts a girl after her family is murdered by a corrupt cop.
No women, no kids.
Despite being filmed exclusively in the United States, it still exudes that French-European style feel, and draws inspiration and parallels from Besson's previous work on La Femme Nikita, a great piece of French cinema you should definitely look into. How you doing everyone? Bada Bing here. It's my pleasure to finally make a video of one of my favourite movies, and 2024 marks the 30th anniversary. So this was the ideal opportunity to review the Western Arms Beretta M92FS Leon Edition. I hope you enjoy your time on this one. I couldn't wait to create this piece of content. If you're liking it so far, I would be delighted to hear it in the comments. If you're not yet subscribed, join me and you'll be helping out my channel massively. Also, another way to help support the channel, I'm a coffee roaster and I produce small batches of ethically sourced, single origin coffee. You can pick up a bag of Bada Bing Coffee by tapping the link in the description or finding the pinned comment. If you don't like coffee, but you would still like to help support what I do here, you can also donate at buymeacoffee.com, although you would really be missing out on my coffee, just saying. Western Arms recreated Leon's stunning signature sidearm in a choice of two varieties, one being the standard compensated model, and the other one, which was more expensive, included the Suppressor, which accurately replicates the one that Leon used in the film.
If it leaves your mouth, I pull the trigger, capisci?
I have long-standing ties to their gorgeous Italian replications. I bought my very first when I was 18, but that was a long time ago. And after many years without a Beretta in my collection, I decided to put things right and I began my search. It was blind luck that a comment I made in response to a user's gallery submitted photo on the HRC group several years ago, which put me on a collision course with my future Beretta. I mentioned that I would be very interested in taking it off his hands if it was surplus to his requirements. To my amazement, he remembered me, and I found his DM asking if I was still interested, and the rest is history.
Holy shit.
They also made another custom piece from this movie with Mathilda's Training 1911, complete with Suppressor. Now, I'm not a 1911 fan, but the seller wasn't about to split them up, so I agreed to take it on as well. The most disappointing aspect of their small offering of custom Leon Edition replicas: where is his match rifle?
The rifle is the first weapon you learn how to use, because it lets you keep your distance from the client.
It would have been amazing if WA made one. Even if it was made from their old M4 gas system, I still would have bought one. They missed out an opportunity there. Everyone would have bought one. I remember Topspin on Arnie's Airsoft with his custom built piece from an AGM M4 GBBR. I would still love to build one of these rifles, and if anyone knows where one might acquire the stock, I'd be interested. You can get in touch on Instagram or Facebook, let me know. Or if someone out there would like to use one of those 3-dimensional printing machines to run off a clone of a Bell & Carlson AR stock, that would be superb.
Can we try with real bullets now?
Included with the Beretta, we find a BB loader, one hex key for the hop-up adjustment, and another one to tighten the tiny screws for the safety catch. Additionally, there's the manuals, 26-round magazine, and the suppressor. As this article is made in Japan, its construction, where the slide and frame are concerned, are made of ABS plastic. The compensator and suppressor are metal, along with a host of internal components, fire control parts, and the like. Even though the main body parts are plastic, the Beretta has a weighty feel to it, and much of the mass comes from the magazine and the comp. The distribution of that weight is obviously a little more towards the front end, and even more so when the suppressor is installed. The finishing here is very nice indeed. WA like to use a finishing treatment that produces a metallic-like surface, which is cold to the touch. Now, it's not often you find a fellow Japanese brand that produces a finer quality pistol than Tokyo Marui, but here we are. These look and feel more superior to TMs. Where the ABS on the Maruis becomes shiny in areas directly contacting the skin after prolonged use, the Western Arms becomes pitted as the paint begins to bubble off the surface. Ergonomically, it is perfect. For me at least, it's perfect. Everything is where it needs to be. My first skirmish gas blowback pistol was the legendary Tokyo Marui Tactical Master, so I am right at home here. To me, it's a comfortable platform that points superbly well. The magazine release button is in the ideal location, same with the slide release catch and decocking safety. The slide lock works just as it should, and I've found that even when it's running low on gas towards the end of the magazine, it's quite good at locking the slide reliably. Speaking of the construction, the compensator isn't rigid with the slide. It can be twisted on its position. It's not really loose and sloppy, although there is some obvious play that I don't like. The 3-ported Algemec style compensator lacks the trades as seen in the film, although there are alternatives made by other brands which have those engravings. I don't know which brand, so you'll have to look those up.
Hey, mister!
The suppressor threads directly into it and takes approximately 5 to 10 days to completely screw it on. The slide connection to the frame isn't tight. When it comes to running the action, the slide does glide effortlessly though, so shooting this one should feel buttery smooth. I have some genuine Beretta grips that Edwin at CRW Airsoft had. As soon as I saw his IG post, I was all over it. Unfortunately for me, it interfered with the trigger bar on the right side and caused some bursting issues, so I had to open up a channel a little bit more. Right now, it is behaving itself, and hopefully it stays that way. The magazines share a similar form factor with real Beretta magazines. The capacity is 26 BBs, and it's really only made for 144A equivalent gas. The construction is entirely cast metal, even the BB feed lips. Now these are contoured in a way where they are so smooth to load. Much like other Western Arms magazine valves, they feature a valve lock design feature, prompting you to release the catch in order for you to seal the valve. Speaking of the valve, Western Arms doesn't follow the herd with the locking engagement, meaning they need their own specific valve removal tool. Thankfully, the cheap one I bought on eBay well over 10 years ago has the corresponding piece. The other magazine I have for it, which the previous owner mentioned leaked gas, uses a ridiculous output valve. It actually doesn't use a thread to contain it, so it's likely an older design that they abandoned, and for good reason. The valve sliding lock is the only thing keeping it inside the magazine. It's no wonder it's leaked gas. Disassembly is the usual affair, but you will have to take out the screw in front of the comp in order to strip out the guide rod. We find that the inner barrel is longer than the standard length, which is a pity, because sometimes I like to admire a bare naked Beretta to fulfill the John McClane or Martin Riggs standard issue. I really need to pick up a second Beretta. The hop-up unit, barrel and rubber are Western Arms' own design, by the looks of it. I guess the only upgrade for accuracy is high-quality heavyweight BBs, and that's assuming it's even capable of applying enough backspin. I'll see about that later. Now, I cannot remember my previous Berettas doing this, but when you increase the hop-up, the grub screw begins to push in a tiny plastic plunger into the chamber, and you've essentially got a parking bollard in the way of the BB. There goes my idea of dialing enough hop-up to lift heavy BBs. The imprint of the hop is also isolated to a small nub in the centre, and unfortunately, this allows the BBs to hit everywhere in front of you. You'll see the laughable accuracy later on, if you could call it that. I noticed the nozzle return spring was doing a bad job at retracting, so upon closer inspection, the connecting loop had broken off. With how fine this tiny spring is, it really is no surprise, and it's a shame that spare parts are virtually non-existent in this part of the world, so I just made up a new coil. Now let's load up some BBs and see what the Chrono thinks of its output. We begin strong, even though I am using 144A type gas, but 255 to start off with, and ending up within the 100s at the final shot. I was using Jeff Bio 2s, and Leon's Beretta produced scores which were vastly different from each other. It's terrible. Placing these figures onto a graph, and to see the results so obviously inconsistent, it truly is disappointing, and honestly, this accurately foreshadows this toy's performance. With shots per gas fill, the magazines take on such a limited amount of gas. You're almost charging an insignificant amount until the valve is spitting vapour back at you, and firing one shot every second gets 61 total shots. Not too bad, considering it was saying it was completely full with only 4 seconds worth. At shot number 50, it was still locking back the slide, so not too bad at all. Shooting this Beretta is an okay experience, almost leaning on the side of being unremarkable though. It cycles fine, it operates as it's supposed to. I reckon I'm just so used to using propane in my TMs that using this with a weaker gas makes it feel soft. It can rattle off the 26 BBs okay, it's just not going to blow you away with the nature of its action. I think it does come into its own a little better when you have the suppressor attached. The sound doesn't really change. The sound you do get out of it, I think, suits the platform much better when it is suppressed. The good thing is the suppressor doesn't seem to put any additional weight or stress into the cycling action, so it happily plinks away when you are in silent mode. Single action to double action hammer fired pistols, like Berettas, are my preferred handgun choice. The double action trigger reminds you of an older time where the squeeze is long and heavy as the slide inches its way back. It breaks right before the cusp of the frame. The single action mode is also rather long, although you do feel some definition as you back up to the wall, and it's only a sneeze beyond that is where it breaks the shot. Coming back on the reset is equally about 5mm or so from whence it came and announces itself with a metallic click. Quite a satisfying sound, however it's not something you can feel through the metal. The so-called adjustable hop-up system in this pistol has virtually no effect on the backspin of the BB, no matter what I do. The range of the Beretta is so poor, and again with the hop-up being so unaffected by the adjustment setting, it really cannot apply a decent impression that would create a good backspin, nor help centralize the BB for flight. This is the most adjustment it can take before the plastic plunger begins to enter the inner barrel, and it's just pathetic. Moving along to accuracy, and unfortunately, there's more bad news. I don't remember my old WA Berettas being this bad. I started off with .2s to see if it could hop them appropriately, but to be honest, I could have done better if I threw the thing. BBs were dropping low, sweeping left, right, just about everywhere within a 2-meter square. If I applied more hop-up, the screw would begin to enter the inner barrel, so with this specific unit, it's definitely more suited to a wall hanger. Not that I truly mind that. I don't play Airsoft anymore, so I don't need it to be hyper-competitive and have it shoot lasers. Alterations might be able to be employed to create an enhanced hop-up impression, but I'm really not that bothered.
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit!
The 3.2s fared a smidge better, but ultimately it's not destined for greatness, as far as putting together an acceptable grouping, even as close as 20 meters. Leon would be extremely disappointed. The Western Arms Beretta M92FS Leon Edition. Now let's break down the pros and cons. I will probably let my bias and sheer romanticism get the better of me, but that's okay because I won't hold back when it comes around to the cons. First of all, by default, it's a Beretta. The styling is beautiful. Leave it to Italians to create such a gorgeous piece. The curves, the lines, and all the details have been faithfully replicated. I think Western Arms have the most accurately defined Airsoft Beretta. You can pick faults with other brands, but here it looks like a direct clone with some of Beretta's original DNA. The finishing is excellent, and the coating they used rounds off the elegant bodywork. In general, the quality of its components is astounding. Yes, the wobble on the compensator is a factor, as well as the slide, but that all dissolves when it's in your hand, because it feels solid, it feels rugged. It's a quality Airsoft toy that means business when it comes to presenting it and aligning the sights. The action and functions are all super smooth. From the trigger, safety, magazine release, and slide action, the whole operational characteristics just flows. The magazines are easy to load, and the BBs just fall into the channel. I've never had anything else quite like it. Using this Beretta is a simple process in of itself. Ergonomically and geometrically, its design is naturally instinctive to point, unlike other handguns where I might have to fight to find the iron sights. The feeling I get from this is the same as navigating the home at night with the lights off. You know exactly how far you need to extend your reach to open doors and generally potter around in complete darkness. This is my own personal opinion, but it feels very much like an extension of myself. Lastly, the nature of this handgun setup, being a faithful replica of a movie gun, it feels amazing. The Compensator and Suppressor, it really is something special. Unfortunately, despite how much I may adore this piece, it has many disadvantages to its name. First of all, given the nature of this particular piece, it's going to be expensive to buy. I think I've seen them advertised for almost $1,000. I think they're dreaming with that price, to be honest. The hop and barrel assembly doesn't promote any kind of precision at all. As you saw, its results are disappointing and nowhere near practical for the task of airsofting. The long-winded so-called adjustable hop-up just doesn't really work and has grave consequences if you adjust it too far. The feel of shooting is alright, but it's nothing special or exciting, and that's where I would likely opt for a Tokyo Marui Beretta in its place. The core performance was abundantly evident in comparison to this. Some shots would only be enough to pop a single BB out of the barrel. The Compensator wobbles all over the place. Is this a usual thing with compensators, or are they usually quite rigid? Taking this thing apart is awkward. You can get by without removing the compensator and get to the inner barrel out if you need to, but the WA Berettas are finicky with the slide removal. It's not a straightforward sweep the lever down approach. You've got to press the outer barrel backwards to enable it to free the lever, but as you've got the compensator in the way, you'll have to pull that forward before pushing it back, and it's just an absolute pain. Western Arms suffers from scarce availability outside of Japan, so even with their regular production units, you'd be quite lucky to find them where you are. They are kind of relegated to private collectors, and occasionally they may sell to other like-minded WA fans. Finding those magazines too, you're not likely to see them. Spare parts support is equally as rare, and upgrade potential is basically zero from what I've seen. There used to be third-party metal kits, but that's going back a while, and anything else that might be available is likely long gone now, or the brands that used to produce them are now out of business. These factors lead me to reveal that these are a dying breed. I would love to see them return and innovate, but that ship has likely sailed.
Leanne, what exactly do you do for a living?
Cleaner.
You mean you're a hitman?
Yeah.
I work for you. And in exchange, you teach me how to clean. Is it a deal?
If you couldn't stand them, why you cry?
Because they killed my brother.
Mathilda, why are you doing this to me?
If you saved my life, you must have saved it for a good reason.
What's your name, Angel?
Mathilda.
Detective Jefferson, may I help you?
I'll call you back.
Happy birthday to Leon the Professional, 30 years later, and it's still a sensational thriller. If you haven't seen this film, you are in for a treat. Gary Oldman steals the show with his performance. He is on top form here. And more than that, so is Jean Reno. This period of time is where he got a lot of work, and he's always referred to as that French guy whenever films he's appeared in is referenced. So you've got Ronin, Godzilla, Mission Impossible. You may not have known his name, but you would have definitely remembered his face.
You call this coffee?
I call this America.
If you're going to see it for the first time, I would probably just recommend you see the theatrical version. The director's cut, for the sake of a couple of additional assassination scenes, it got too weird. Trust me, the theatrical version is where you'd want to start. So I have the VHS of this film, and I also have this. This is the Leon Special Edition. This is number 1850 out of 2400. Ultra HD 4K Blu-ray, and I don't even have a modern television. I've got that old CRT TV with the inbuilt VHS player. I can't even play this, but I ended up buying it anyway. That's how much I love this movie. Throughout this video you may have heard the glorious adaptations of Eric Serra's score, played ever so softly to avoid the suits. This soundtrack is what opened my eyes to film scores and my eventual love for classical music.
You don't like Beethoven. You don't know what you're missing.
Feel the Breath is my absolute favourite. It's just a mesmerising score, you need to hear it. To conclude my thoughts on my dream handgun, what I have here is a wall hanger that also happens to shoot. Again, I cannot remember my previous WAs being like this, so I can only report upon this unit. This is a collector's piece, unfit for the field. Unless you are willing to make your own changes for precision, then it would be okay. Although at the price I've seen these go for, you'd have to be pretty serious. Otherwise, I would say settle for a Madball Hitman Compensator and attach it to a WE Tech, or whatever the compatible M9 is. With the Western Arms, you'll be spending a lot of money on the most accurately replicated plastic toy that operates to a certain standard. It's just not a high standard. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked this style of review where I focus on a particular movie gun and get right into the vibe of the film, please let me know in the comments. I have a couple of more gas blowback reviews that I plan to make in this very style, and any suggestions would be welcome. It's been so much fun making this video, as you can probably tell. After spending a lot of time coffee roasting and squeezing in small videos here and there, it's been lovely coming back to reviewing, and I have so much more to come. Speaking of coffee, I am currently roasting 2 single origins at the moment, which are delicious. I have a gorgeous and smooth Colombian medium roast that you could enjoy all day, or Honduran dark roast, which not only has the strong rich kick, it also has those notes of dark chocolate which levitates you from the first sip. I sound like a commercial, and I don't care. Link is in the description to my website. Of course, if you'd like to further support my channel, like, subscribe, and share this video. I know a lot of Leon fans that would love to see this Italian hitman's Beretta. Thanks again for watching. Look after yourselves, my friends.